Hello and welcome to The Dreamy Historian, your quiet corner of the internet, where history whispers its secrets and the past unfolds like pages from a forgotten book. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight, whether you're settling in for a peaceful evening or simply curious about the curious ways our ancestors lived their lives. Tonight we're journeying back to a time when knights roamed the countryside and cathedrals reached toward heaven. But more importantly, we're exploring something far more intimate and universal. We're diving into the medieval world of skincare, a topic that might surprise you with its ingenuity, its strangeness, and its unexpected sophistication. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Medieval people and skincare? Surely they just accepted whatever fate befell their complexions and moved on with their lives. But oh, how wrong that assumption would be. Our ancestors were just as concerned with blemishes, rashes, and wrinkles as we are today. They simply had very different ideas about how to address them. Before we begin this gentle exploration of pustules and potions, if you enjoy these quiet journeys through history's more intimate corners, I'd be ever so grateful if you tapped that subscribe button or left a comment telling me what other aspects of medieval life you'd like to explore together. So let's step back in time, shall we? Picture yourself in a world where mirrors were luxury items made of polished metal, where bathing was a complex social ritual, and where your skin told stories not just of age and health, but of your place in society itself. The medieval period, spanning roughly from the 5th to the 15th centuries, was a time of remarkable contradiction when it came to personal care. On one hand, we have the persistent myth of the unwashed masses living in squalor. On the other hand, we find detailed recipes for face creams, elaborate bathing rituals, and sophisticated understanding of herbal remedies that would make modern aromatherapists nod in approval. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the middle, painted in shades far more nuanced than our modern assumptions might suggest. Medieval people were deeply concerned with their appearance, but their approaches to skincare were filtered through a lens of medicine, religion, and social expectation that created practices both familiar and utterly alien to our modern sensibilities. Let's begin with perhaps the most fundamental difference between medieval and modern skincare philosophy. Today, we think of skin problems largely in terms of bacteria, hormones, and genetic predisposition. We reach for salicylic acid, retinoids, and carefully formulated cleansers. Medieval people, however, operated under an entirely different system of understanding, one rooted in the ancient theory of the four humors. According to medieval medical theory, inherited largely from the Greek physician Galen, the human body contained four essential fluids, or humors: blood, which was hot and moist; yellow bile, hot and dry; black bile, cold and dry; and phlegm, cold and moist. These humors needed to remain in perfect balance for optimal health, and when they fell out of alignment, the results would manifest in various ailments, including skin conditions. A person with too much hot, moist blood might develop red, inflamed skin, or boils. Someone with an excess of cold, dry black bile could suffer from dark spots or a sallow complexion. The goal wasn't simply to treat the symptom, but to restore the fundamental balance of the body's internal chemistry. This holistic approach meant that skincare was never just about what you put on your face, but about your entire lifestyle, diet, and even your emotional state. This theoretical framework led to treatments that might seem bizarre to modern eyes, but made perfect sense within their system of understanding. For instance, if a young woman developed acne, which was often attributed to an excess of hot blood, the treatment might involve bloodletting to reduce the surplus, combined with cooling foods like lettuce and cucumber, and topical applications of rose water to bring down the heat. The medieval understanding of skin also carried profound social implications. Clear, pale skin was not simply an aesthetic preference, but a marker of social status and moral virtue. The wealthy could afford to stay indoors, protecting their complexions from the sun and wind that marked the laboring classes. Pale skin suggested a life of leisure, education, and refinement. Dark or weathered skin, by contrast, marked someone as a worker, someone who toiled outdoors, and thus occupied a lower social station. This association between skin tone and social class created an entire industry around skin whitening and protection. Medieval beauty manuals, written primarily for wealthy women, are filled with recipes for bleaching creams, whitening masks, and protective ointments. These weren't simply vanity projects, but social necessities, ways of maintaining and displaying one's position in the rigid hierarchy of medieval society. But perhaps even more fascinating than the social implications were the practical methods medieval people developed to address their skin concerns. These weren't primitive folk remedies stumbled upon by accident, but sophisticated formulations passed down through generations and refined by centuries of experimentation. Take, for instance, the medieval approach to cleansing. While the popular image of medieval people suggests they rarely bathed, historical records paint a very different picture. Public bathhouses were common in most medieval towns, and private bathing was a regular practice among those who could afford it. But medieval cleansing went far beyond simple soap and water. Medieval skincare recipes reveal an impressive understanding of different skin types and their specific needs. For oily skin prone to blemishes, they might recommend a cleansing routine involving barley water mixed with honey and ground almonds. The barley water would provide gentle astringent properties, the honey would offer antibacterial benefits, and the ground almonds would provide gentle exfoliation. This combination addresses the same basic skin concerns we target today, just with ingredients pulled from the medieval pharmacy of kitchen and garden. For dry or aging skin, medieval beauty treatises recommended richer formulations. A popular recipe from the 14th century calls for mixing egg whites with crushed pearls, rose water, and oil of sweet almonds. The egg whites would tighten and tone the skin. The crushed pearls provided gentle exfoliation and were believed to impart luminosity. The rose water offered hydration and a pleasant fragrance, and the almond oil provided essential moisture. Modern skincare enthusiasts would recognize this as a surprisingly sophisticated approach to anti-aging skincare. The medieval medicine chest was stocked with an impressive array of botanicals, many of which are still used in skincare today. Roses were prized not only for their fragrance, but for their supposed ability to cool hot humors and reduce inflammation. Chamomile was used to soothe irritated skin and promote healing. Lavender was believed to balance the humors while providing antiseptic properties. Calendula, or pot marigold, was a go-to remedy for cuts, scrapes, and skin irritations. But medieval skincare wasn't limited to simple herbal remedies. They also developed complex compound preparations that combined multiple active ingredients in sophisticated ways. One popular medieval face cream, described in several 15th century manuscripts, called for combining ground cucumber seeds with white lily bulbs, goat's milk, and honey, all simmered together until they formed a smooth paste. This mixture was then strained and perfumed with rose oil before being stored in small pots for daily use. The process of creating such preparations was often as important as the ingredients themselves. Medieval beauty recipes frequently specify particular phases of the moon for gathering herbs, specific times of day for mixing compounds, and elaborate rituals for storing and applying the finished products. This wasn't mere superstition, but reflected a deep belief in the interconnectedness of natural cycles and human health. Medieval people also understood the importance of diet in maintaining healthy skin, though their reasoning differed from our modern understanding of nutrition. Rather than thinking in terms of vitamins and antioxidants, they considered how different foods affected the balance of humors within the body. Foods that were considered heating, such as spices, red meat, and wine, were believed to contribute to inflammatory skin conditions. Cooling foods, like fresh fruits, green vegetables, and certain grains, were recommended for those prone to acne or redness. This dietary approach to skincare often extended to elaborate detoxification regimens designed to purify the blood and restore humoral balance. These might involve periods of fasting, consumption of specific herbal teas, and the use of purgatives to cleanse the system from within. While we might question the safety and efficacy of some of these practices, the underlying principle that internal health affects external appearance remains a cornerstone of modern holistic skincare approaches. The medieval approach to treating specific skin conditions reveals both the limitations and the surprising sophistication of their methods. For common problems like blackheads and blemishes, they developed targeted treatments that show a clear understanding of the underlying causes. One popular remedy involved creating a paste from ground oatmeal, honey, and egg whites, which was applied to affected areas and left to dry before being gently removed. The oatmeal provided gentle exfoliation, the honey offered antibacterial properties, and the egg whites helped to tighten pores and reduce oiliness. For more serious conditions, like boils or infected wounds, medieval practitioners had developed a range of poultices and drawing salves designed to bring infections to a head and promote healing. These often combined strong antiseptic herbs like thyme and oregano with drawing agents like clay or ground flaxseed, creating preparations that were surprisingly effective given the limited understanding of bacterial infection. Perhaps most intriguingly, medieval skincare practices reveal an early understanding of what we now call the skin barrier function. Many medieval beauty recipes include ingredients specifically chosen for their ability to protect and moisturize the skin. Beeswax was commonly used to create protective balms and salves. Various plant oils, from olive to walnut to sweet almond, were carefully selected for their nourishing properties. Lanolin, extracted from sheep's wool, was prized for its ability to soften and protect delicate skin. These protective preparations weren't simply applied haphazardly, but were part of elaborate skincare routines that varied by season, social status, and individual constitution. Wealthy medieval women might spend considerable time each morning applying layers of different preparations, each designed to address specific concerns or enhance particular features. The morning routine of a well-to-do medieval lady might begin with a gentle cleansing using rose water or barley water, followed by the application of a whitening cream made from ground almonds. And this she might apply milk over a protective balm containing beeswax and aromatic oils, and finally, a light dusting of powder made from ground rice or wheat flour to set everything in place and provide additional coverage. But what's particularly fascinating is how medieval people approached the treatment of scars and blemishes, conditions that couldn't simply be covered or prevented. They developed an impressive array of healing salves and regenerative treatments that show a sophisticated understanding of wound healing and tissue repair. One popular scar treatment involved mixing ground snail shells with honey and applying the paste to affected areas daily. While this might sound bizarre to modern ears, snail secretions are now known to contain beneficial compounds like glycolic acid and elastin that can indeed help with skin repair and regeneration. For age spots and discoloration, medieval practitioners developed bleaching treatments that were surprisingly effective. A common recipe called for distilling the juice of green grapes with white wine and applying the mixture daily to dark spots. The natural acids in both ingredients would have provided gentle chemical exfoliation, gradually lightening discolored areas over time. Another popular treatment involved creating a paste from ground cucumber with white lily petals and leaving it on the affected area overnight. The combination of natural enzymes and mild acids would have offered similar lightening effects. The medieval understanding of sun damage was surprisingly advanced, even if their explanation differed from our modern knowledge of UV radiation. They recognized that prolonged exposure to sun and wind could coarsen and darken the skin, and they developed numerous protective strategies to prevent such damage. Wide-brimmed hats, veils, and even early forms of sunscreen made from zinc oxide or titanium-rich clays were commonly used by those who could afford them. Medieval manuscripts describe elaborate preparations for outdoor activities, particularly during summer months. Before venturing outside, wealthy individuals might apply protective creams containing ingredients like zinc oxide mixed with rosewater and beeswax. Over this, they might dust themselves with powder made from ground pearls or white clay to provide additional sun protection. These preparations weren't perfect, but they show a clear understanding that prevention was preferable to treatment when it came to sun damage. The seasonal approach to skincare was another sophisticated aspect of medieval beauty practices. They understood that skin needs change with the weather and adjusted their routines accordingly. Winter preparations tended to be richer and more protective, emphasizing oils and waxes to guard against cold, dry air. Summer formulations were lighter and more cooling, often incorporating ingredients like cucumber, mint, or rose to soothe heat-stressed skin. Spring was considered an ideal time for renewal and detoxification. Medieval beauty manuals often recommend spring cleansing routines designed to purge the skin of winter's accumulated toxins and prepare it for the warmer months ahead. These might involve gentle steaming with herbal infusions, exfoliation with ground grains or nuts, and the application of fresh, plant-based masks designed to brighten and refresh the complexion. Autumn skincare focused on preparation and protection, building up the skin's defenses before the harsh winter months. This was the time for richer creams, protective balms, and nourishing treatments designed to strengthen the skin's natural barrier against upcoming cold weather challenges. The tools and implements used in medieval skincare were as carefully considered as the preparations themselves. Cleansing cloths were made from fine linen or silk, chosen for their gentle texture and ability to be thoroughly cleaned between uses. Mixing bowls and storage containers were typically made from materials believed to enhance or preserve the properties of the skincare preparations they contained. Glass was preferred for storing rose water and other delicate distillations, while ceramic pots were used for thicker creams and ointments. Application tools ranged from soft brushes made from animal hair to smooth stones used for gentle massage. Many medieval beauty treatments incorporated massage techniques designed to improve circulation and promote the absorption of applied preparations. These weren't simply relaxing luxuries, but were considered essential parts of the treatment process, ways of ensuring that beneficial ingredients reached their intended targets within the skin. The medieval approach to treating specific skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis, or chronic acne reveals both the limitations and surprising insights of their medical understanding. For persistent inflammatory conditions, they often employed a combination of internal and external treatments designed to address what they saw as the root humoral imbalances causing the problems. A typical treatment for chronic eczema might begin with dietary modifications designed to reduce hot, dry humors in the body. This could involve eliminating spicy foods, reducing meat consumption, and increasing intake of cooling fruits and vegetables. Simultaneously, the patient might undergo gentle bloodletting or purging to remove excess humors from the system. Externally, they would apply soothing salves made from ingredients like calendula, chamomile, and cooling oils, often combined with protective elements like beeswax or lanolin to prevent further irritation. For stubborn acne, medieval practitioners developed multi-pronged approaches that addressed both the internal humoral imbalances they believed caused the condition and the external symptoms themselves. Internal treatments might include herbal teas made from cooling plants like violet or plantain, designed to reduce the hot blood thought to cause inflammatory skin conditions. External treatments could include gentle steaming with herbal preparations to open pores, followed by the application of drawing masks made from clay and herbs to remove impurities, and finally, protective applications of light oils or waters to prevent over-drying. Perhaps most remarkably, medieval skincare practices show an early understanding of what we now call personalized medicine. Practitioners recognized that different individuals required different approaches based on their constitution, lifestyle, and specific skin characteristics. A fair-skinned person prone to burning might receive different recommendations than someone with naturally darker skin who worked outdoors. A young person with oily skin would follow different routines than an older individual dealing with dryness and wrinkles. This individualized approach extended to the preparation of skincare formulations themselves. While basic recipes were widely shared and documented, skilled practitioners would modify ingredients and proportions based on their assessment of each patient's specific needs. A person with particularly sensitive skin might receive gentler formulations with reduced concentrations of active ingredients. Someone dealing with stubborn conditions might be given stronger preparations or more intensive treatment regimens. The medieval period also saw the development of specialized skincare practices for different professions and social roles. Monks and nuns, for example, developed simple but effective skincare routines using ingredients readily available in monastic gardens and kitchens. These preparations emphasized healing and protection rather than enhancement, reflecting the religious values of their users while still addressing practical skincare needs. Knights and soldiers had their own specialized skincare challenges, dealing with the effects of wearing armor, exposure to harsh weather, and the increased risk of cuts and scrapes. Military treatises from the period include recommendations for protective balms to prevent chafing under armor, healing salves for minor wounds, and cleansing preparations designed to remove the dirt and sweat accumulated during campaigns. Merchants and craftspeople developed skincare solutions suited to their particular occupational hazards. Those who worked with dyes or chemicals might use specific cleansing routines to remove stains and prevent irritation. Blacksmiths and others who worked near fires developed protective preparations to guard against heat damage and sparks. Even within the household, different family members might follow distinctly different skincare routines based on their age, gender, and daily activities. Children's skincare focused on gentle protection and healing of minor scrapes and irritations. Adults balanced protection with enhancement, while elderly family members might emphasize nourishing and regenerative treatments designed to address the specific challenges of aging skin. The sophistication of medieval skincare becomes even more apparent when we examine their understanding of the connection between emotional well-being and skin health. Medieval medical theory recognized that states of mind could directly affect physical health, including the condition of the skin. Stress, anger, and melancholy were all believed to disrupt humoral balance in ways that would manifest as skin problems. This holistic understanding led to skincare approaches that addressed not just the physical symptoms, but also the emotional and spiritual aspects of healing. Aromatherapy, though not called by that name, was an integral part of many medieval skincare treatments. The pleasant scents of rose, lavender, or other aromatic ingredients weren't simply aesthetic choices, but were believed to have therapeutic effects on both mood and complexion. Meditation, prayer, and other spiritual practices were often recommended as part of comprehensive skincare regimens. The belief was that a peaceful mind would naturally lead to a clearer complexion, while emotional turmoil would inevitably show itself in the condition of the skin. This mind-body approach to skincare created treatment plans that addressed the whole person rather than just the surface symptoms. The integration of spiritual practices into skincare routines reflects one of the most fascinating aspects of medieval beauty culture, the belief that external appearance was fundamentally connected to internal virtue and spiritual health. This wasn't merely superstition, but represented a sophisticated understanding of what we now recognize as the mind-body connection in health and healing. Medieval practitioners developed elaborate rituals around skincare preparation and application that served both practical and spiritual purposes. The act of gathering herbs at specific times, often at dawn when the dew was still fresh, wasn't just about optimal ingredient potency, but about creating a meditative, intentional approach to self-care. The careful grinding of ingredients by hand, the slow simmering of compounds over gentle fires, and the patient waiting for preparations to mature all served to create a mindful, almost ceremonial approach to beauty care. These rituals often incorporated prayer and meditation as integral components of the skincare process. A medieval woman preparing her morning beauty routine might begin with quiet reflection or prayer, asking for blessings on her preparations and expressing gratitude for the natural ingredients she was about to use. This spiritual component wasn't seen as separate from the practical aspects of skincare, but as an essential element that enhanced the effectiveness of the physical treatments. The medieval understanding of beauty itself was deeply intertwined with concepts of moral and spiritual purity. Clear skin wasn't just aesthetically pleasing, but was seen as a reflection of inner virtue and divine favor. Conversely, skin problems were sometimes interpreted as outward manifestations of spiritual or moral issues that needed to be addressed alongside the physical symptoms. This perspective led to skincare approaches that emphasized purification in both physical and spiritual senses. Fasting periods designed to cleanse the body of impurities were often accompanied by spiritual practices aimed at purifying the soul. The belief was that true beauty could only emerge when both body and spirit were in harmony, creating an integrated approach to self-care that addressed multiple dimensions of human experience. The seasonal rhythms that governed medieval skincare were also deeply connected to religious and spiritual observances. Lenten fasting periods provided opportunities for internal cleansing that was believed to benefit skin health. Easter celebrations marked times of renewal and rejuvenation, often accompanied by special beauty rituals designed to reflect spiritual rebirth. The harvest seasons brought Thanksgiving ceremonies that included gratitude for the herbs and plants that provided skincare ingredients throughout the year. Medieval monasteries became centers of skincare knowledge and innovation, where religious communities developed sophisticated understanding of herbal medicine and natural healing. Monastery gardens were carefully planned to include not just medicinal plants, but also those specifically valued for their beauty and skincare applications. The detailed records kept by monastic scribes have preserved many of our most complete medieval skincare recipes and techniques. The monastic approach to skincare emphasized simplicity and functionality over vanity, but this didn't mean their preparations were any less effective. Monastery recipes often focused on multi-purpose preparations that could address several skin concerns simultaneously while using readily available ingredients. A typical monastic skincare preparation might combine healing herbs like comfrey and plantain with nourishing oils and protective waxes to create balms that could treat everything from minor cuts to dry, weathered skin. The knowledge preserved in monastery libraries also included translations of ancient Greek and Roman beauty texts, which were combined with local folk wisdom and ongoing experimentation to create increasingly sophisticated approaches to skincare. These institutions served as bridges between classical knowledge and medieval innovation, preserving ancient wisdom while adapting it to contemporary needs and available resources. The role of medieval women as keepers and developers of skincare knowledge cannot be overstated. While formal medical training was largely restricted to men, women maintained and developed extensive expertise in herbal medicine and beauty care through informal networks of shared knowledge. Mothers passed recipes to daughters, friends exchanged successful treatments, and communities of women collaborated to refine and improve skincare techniques. This feminine tradition of skincare knowledge was both practical and empowering. In an era when women had limited formal education opportunities, expertise in herbal medicine and beauty care provided a form of specialized knowledge that was highly valued and respected. Skilled practitioners could achieve considerable social status and even economic independence through their expertise in skincare and beauty treatments. The recipes and techniques developed within these women's networks were often remarkably sophisticated, incorporating complex understanding of how different ingredients interacted with various skin types and conditions. A master practitioner might maintain dozens of different formulations, each carefully adapted to address specific needs or preferences. These women became the equivalent of modern estheticians, providing personalized skincare consultations and custom-formulated treatments for their clients. The economic aspects of medieval skincare reveal another fascinating dimension of this historical practice. The beauty industry, though not called by that name, represented a significant economic sector that supported everyone from herb gatherers and ingredient processors to skilled formulators and beauty practitioners. Trade routes carried exotic ingredients across continents, and local markets featured dedicated sections for beauty and skincare supplies. The cost of skincare ingredients and treatments created natural market segmentation that reflected broader social hierarchies. The wealthy could afford exotic ingredients like ambergris, crushed pearls, and rare imported oils. The middle classes made do with locally available herbs and simpler preparations. The poor relied on the most basic ingredients, often gathered wild or grown in small household gardens. Yet even among the poorest medieval communities, skincare remained a priority. Folk remedies using common weeds, kitchen scraps, and household materials provided effective treatments for basic skin problems. These humble preparations often proved surprisingly effective, demonstrating that sophisticated skincare didn't necessarily require expensive ingredients. The seasonal availability of ingredients created natural rhythms in medieval skincare practices that modern consumers might find both challenging and refreshing. Spring brought fresh green herbs, perfect for cleansing and detoxifying treatments. Summer provided flowers and fruits for nourishing and protecting preparations. Autumn offered seeds, nuts, and roots for rich restorative formulations. Winter became a time for using preserved ingredients and focusing on protective healing treatments. This seasonal approach created skincare routines that were naturally varied and responsive to changing environmental conditions. Rather than using the same products year-round, medieval practitioners adjusted their approaches based on weather, available ingredients, and seasonal skin needs. This natural variation may have provided benefits that we're only beginning to understand as modern research explores how seasonal changes affect skin health and optimal care approaches. The preservation and storage of skincare ingredients and preparations presented significant challenges in an era without refrigeration or modern preservative systems. Medieval practitioners developed ingenious methods for extending the life of their preparations, using natural preservatives like salt, honey, and alcohol to prevent spoilage. They also mastered techniques for drying herbs, extracting stable oils, and creating concentrated preparations that could be stored for extended periods without losing their effectiveness. The containers used for storing skincare preparations were carefully chosen to preserve and enhance the properties of their contents. Glass vessels were prized for their ability to protect delicate preparations from light and contamination. Ceramic pots with tight-fitting lids provided excellent storage for thicker creams and ointments. Wooden boxes lined with cloth or leather protected dry ingredients from moisture and pests. The labeling and organization of skincare ingredients required its own specialized knowledge system. Since literacy was limited, practitioners often relied on visual cues, distinctive containers, and memorable naming systems to keep track of their various preparations. Color-coded ribbons, distinctive shapes, and traditional symbols helped identify different formulations and their intended uses. The application techniques used in medieval skincare were as carefully developed as the preparations themselves. Different skin conditions required different approaches to application, and skilled practitioners understood how factors like pressure, direction, and timing could affect treatment outcomes. Gentle upward strokes were used for anti-aging treatments, circular motions for cleansing preparations, and firm pressure for therapeutic applications designed to improve circulation or promote healing. The tools used for applying skincare treatments were crafted with the same attention to detail as the preparations themselves. Brushes made from carefully selected animal hairs provided gentle exfoliation and even application of powders and liquids. Smooth stones and polished shells served as massage tools designed to improve circulation and promote absorption of applied treatments. Soft cloths woven from fine fibers ensured gentle cleansing without irritation. The timing of skincare applications was governed by both practical considerations and beliefs about optimal effectiveness. Morning routines focused on protection and preparation for the day ahead. Evening applications emphasized healing and regeneration during sleep. Lunar cycles were believed to influence the effectiveness of certain treatments, with different phases of the moon considered optimal for different types of skincare interventions. The medieval understanding of skin aging reveals sophisticated insights that parallel many modern anti-aging approaches. They recognized that aging affected not just the surface appearance of skin, but also its underlying structure and function. This understanding led to multi-layered approaches that addressed different aspects of the aging process through targeted interventions. Prevention was considered far more effective than treatment when it came to aging skin. Medieval practitioners developed elaborate protective regimens designed to shield skin from environmental damage before it occurred. Sun protection, moisturization, and gentle cleansing were all recognized as essential components of anti-aging skincare, though their explanations for why these approaches worked differed from our modern understanding. The medieval approach to treating existing signs of aging combined topical treatments with internal interventions designed to address what they saw as the underlying causes of skin deterioration. Nutritional approaches emphasized foods believed to nourish and strengthen skin from within. Herbal supplements were prescribed to support overall health and vitality. External treatments focused on stimulating circulation, promoting cell renewal, and providing intensive nourishment to damaged skin. Perhaps most remarkably, medieval practitioners recognized that successful anti-aging required long-term consistency and patience. They understood that dramatic improvements in skin condition couldn't be achieved overnight, but required sustained commitment to appropriate care routines. This realistic approach to skincare expectations created treatment plans that emphasized gradual improvement over quick fixes, a philosophy that modern dermatologists would readily endorse. The social rituals surrounding medieval skincare created community bonds and shared experiences that enhanced both the practical and emotional benefits of beauty care. Group bathing sessions at public bathhouses provided opportunities for women to share skincare knowledge and techniques. Private beauty sessions among friends and family members created intimate spaces for experimenting with new treatments and discussing skincare concerns. These social aspects of skincare served important functions beyond simple beauty care. They provided opportunities for older women to pass knowledge to younger generations, creating continuity of expertise across family lines. They offered spaces for women to support each other through skin problems and aging concerns. They created networks of shared knowledge that helped communities develop and refine their collective understanding of effective skincare approaches. The ceremonial aspects of medieval skincare reflected its importance in marking life transitions and social occasions. Brides prepared for their weddings with intensive beauty regimens designed to ensure they looked their absolute best on their special day. New mothers received special skincare treatments designed to help them recover from childbirth and adapt to their changed circumstances. Seasonal celebrations often included beauty rituals that marked the passage of time and the renewal of natural cycles. These ritualistic elements of medieval skincare weren't mere vanity, but served profound psychological and social functions. They provided structure and meaning to the daily routines of beauty care, transforming what might otherwise be mundane maintenance into purposeful acts of self-care and community participation. The medieval marketplace buzzed with vendors selling skincare ingredients and preparations, creating a vibrant economy around beauty and personal care. Traveling merchants brought exotic ingredients from distant lands, while local herbalists offered seasonal specialties gathered from nearby forests and fields. The quality and authenticity of these ingredients were matters of serious concern, leading to the development of sophisticated testing methods and quality control practices. Skilled practitioners learned to identify genuine ingredients from adulterants through careful examination of color, texture, scent, and other physical characteristics. They developed relationships with trusted suppliers who could provide consistent quality over time. The reputation of beauty practitioners often depended as much on their ability to source superior ingredients as on their skill in formulating and applying treatments. The guilds and professional organizations that emerged during the later medieval period included beauty practitioners alongside other skilled craftspeople. These organizations established standards for training, quality control and ethical practice that helped professionalize the field of skincare and beauty care. Apprenticeship systems ensured that knowledge was passed down systematically while allowing for innovation and adaptation to changing needs and available resources. The documentation of skincare knowledge in medieval manuscripts reveals the systematic approach that practitioners took to their craft. Detailed recipes specified not just ingredients and proportions, but also crucial details about preparation methods, storage requirements, and application techniques. These texts often included notes about variations for different skin types, seasonal adjustments, and troubleshooting advice for when treatments didn't produce expected results. The illustrations found in some medieval beauty manuscripts provide fascinating glimpses into the tools, techniques, and settings used for skincare treatments. These images show elaborately equipped beauty chambers with specialized furniture, storage systems, and application tools. They depict the careful rituals involved in preparing and applying treatments, often showing multiple attendants working together to provide comprehensive beauty care. The international exchange of skincare knowledge during the medieval period created a rich cross-pollination of techniques and ingredients. Trade routes carried not just exotic materials, but also information about how different cultures approached beauty and skincare challenges. Arabic texts translated into Latin brought sophisticated distillation techniques and new understanding of herbal properties. Byzantine practices influenced Western European approaches to luxury beauty care. This cultural exchange created fascinating hybrid approaches that combined local ingredients with foreign techniques or applied traditional methods to newly available exotic materials. A medieval European practitioner might use locally grown roses with distillation techniques learned from Arabic sources, or apply Mediterranean olive oil using massage methods developed in Northern European traditions. The medical schools that emerged in medieval universities began to include skincare and cosmetic medicine as legitimate subjects of study. These academic approaches to beauty care brought increased rigor and systematic observation to practices that had previously relied primarily on traditional knowledge and empirical experience. Student physicians learned to diagnose skin conditions according to humoral theory and to prescribe treatments that addressed underlying constitutional imbalances. This medicalization of skincare elevated its status while also standardizing many practices that had previously varied widely between practitioners and regions. The integration of beauty care into formal medical education helped establish skincare as a legitimate health concern rather than mere vanity, though the line between medical treatment and cosmetic enhancement remained pleasantly blurred. The seasonal festivals and religious observances of medieval life provided natural occasions for intensive skincare treatments and beauty rituals. Preparation for Easter involved cleansing regimens that paralleled the spiritual purification of Lent. Midsummer celebrations called for protective treatments to guard against increased sun exposure. Harvest festivals provided opportunities to create new preparations from freshly gathered ingredients. These cyclical approaches to skincare created natural rhythms that aligned beauty care with broader patterns of medieval life. Rather than following arbitrary schedules, skincare routines flowed with religious calendars, agricultural seasons, and social celebrations. This integration made beauty care feel like a natural part of life rather than an additional burden or artificial imposition. The role of medieval bathhouses in skincare culture deserves particular attention for their sophisticated approach to cleansing and treatment. These establishments weren't simply places to wash, but comprehensive wellness centers that offered various skincare services alongside bathing facilities. Professional attendants provided specialized treatments, from gentle exfoliation to intensive moisturizing, using techniques and preparations that individual households might not be able to afford or manage alone. The social aspects of bathhouse culture created opportunities for sharing skincare knowledge across class lines in ways that might not have been possible in other settings. Wealthy patrons and working class customers use the same facilities, creating natural opportunities for observing and learning about different approaches to beauty care. The professional attendants at these establishments often possessed extensive knowledge gained from serving diverse clienteles with varying skincare needs and preferences. The architecture and design of medieval bathhouses reflected sophisticated understanding of how environmental factors affected skincare treatments. Careful attention to lighting, ventilation, temperature control, and humidity created optimal conditions for various beauty procedures. Private chambers allowed for individualized treatments, while common areas facilitated social interaction and knowledge sharing. The decline of bathhouse culture in later medieval periods, often attributed to concerns about moral propriety and disease transmission, represented a significant loss for skincare knowledge and practice. The intimate, professional environment of bathhouses had fostered innovation and refinement of techniques that became more difficult to maintain in purely domestic settings. The medieval approach to treating skin conditions that we would now recognize as dermatological diseases reveals both the limitations and surprising insights of their medical understanding. Conditions like psoriasis, eczema, and severe acne were often viewed through the lens of humoral imbalance, but the treatments developed sometimes proved remarkably effective, despite being based on what we now know to be incorrect theoretical foundations. For persistent inflammatory conditions, medieval practitioners often employed combination therapies that addressed multiple aspects of the problem simultaneously. Internal treatments might include dietary modifications and herbal preparations designed to cool excessive heat in the body. External applications could involve soothing poultices, protective barriers, and gentle cleansing routines. This multimodal approach often produced better results than single intervention treatments. The medieval understanding of contagious skin conditions led to sophisticated isolation and treatment protocols that helped prevent spread while providing care for affected individuals. Leprosy, though often misdiagnosed, prompted the development of specialized care facilities and treatment regimens. Less serious but more common contagious conditions, like scabies, led to household protocols for cleaning, treatment, and prevention of reinfection. The psychological aspects of treating disfiguring skin conditions weren't ignored in medieval practice. Practitioners understood that visible skin problems could cause significant emotional distress and social isolation. Treatment plans often included counseling, spiritual support, and practical advice for managing social interactions. The holistic approach to healing recognized that successful treatment required addressing both physical symptoms and emotional consequences. The medieval period saw the development of increasingly sophisticated understanding of how different life stages affected skincare needs and appropriate treatments. Childhood skincare focused on gentle protection and treatment of common minor problems like cuts, scrapes, and rashes. Adolescent approaches recognized the hormonal changes that often led to acne and other skin disturbances, developing targeted treatments that address these specific concerns. Adult skincare varied significantly based on gender, occupation, and social status, but generally emphasized protection, maintenance, and enhancement. The recognition that men and women faced different skincare challenges led to gender-specific approaches that accounted for differences in lifestyle, occupational exposure, and social expectations. Elderly skincare represented perhaps the most sophisticated area of medieval beauty practice, with detailed understanding of how aging affected skin structure and function. Treatments for older adults emphasized nourishment, protection, and gentle stimulation designed to support the skin's natural healing and renewal processes. The acceptance that aging was a natural process that required adapted rather than reversed approaches created realistic and effective treatment strategies. The medieval approach to scar treatment and wound healing incorporated understanding of tissue repair that was remarkably advanced for its time. Fresh wounds received immediate attention with cleaning protocols and protective applications designed to promote healing while preventing infection. Older scars were treated with massage techniques and specialized preparations designed to improve flexibility and appearance. The use of various oils in scar treatment reflected sophisticated understanding of how different fatty acids affected tissue healing and regeneration. Olive oil provided basic moisturization and protection. Sweet almond oil offered gentle nourishment for sensitive healing tissue. More exotic oils like rosehip or sea buckthorn, when available, provided additional healing compounds that modern research has validated as beneficial for tissue repair. The medieval period also saw the development of camouflage techniques for covering scars, birthmarks, and other permanent skin discolorations. These early cosmetic approaches used carefully prepared powders and tinted preparations to minimize the appearance of skin imperfections. The techniques were often sophisticated, involving layering of different colors and textures to create natural-looking coverage. The integration of massage into medieval skincare routines reflected understanding of how physical manipulation could improve circulation, promote healing, and enhance the absorption of applied treatments. Different massage techniques were developed for different purposes, from gentle lymphatic drainage to more vigorous circulation stimulating approaches. The tools used for massage were carefully chosen for their specific properties and effects. Smooth stones provided firm pressure for deep tissue work. Soft brushes offered gentle stimulation for sensitive areas. Various oils and preparations were selected not just for their skincare properties, but for how they felt during massage application. The training required to perform effective skincare massage was extensive, involving understanding of anatomy, appropriate pressure levels, and proper technique sequences. Skilled practitioners could customize their approach based on individual client needs, skin sensitivity, and desired outcomes. This personalized approach to massage therapy created highly effective treatments that addressed both physical and emotional aspects of skincare. The medieval understanding of how climate and weather affected skincare needs led to sophisticated seasonal adjustment protocols that maximized treatment effectiveness while minimizing adverse reactions. Summer skincare emphasized cooling, protecting, and cleansing to address increased heat and sun exposure. Winter approaches focused on nourishing, protecting, and healing to combat the drying effects of cold weather and indoor heating. The transition periods between seasons required special attention and often intensive treatment programs designed to help skin adapt to changing environmental conditions. Spring cleansing routines helped remove winter's accumulated toxins and prepare skin for increased outdoor activity. Autumn preparation focused on building up protective reserves before winter's challenges arrived. These seasonal approaches weren't rigid formulas, but flexible frameworks that could be adapted based on individual needs, local climate conditions, and available ingredients. The recognition that effective skincare required responsiveness to changing conditions created adaptive treatment approaches that remained to skincare knowledge extended far beyond simple effective across varying circumstances. The medieval period's contribution folk remedies to encompass sophisticated understanding of skin physiology, treatment principles, and holistic approaches to beauty and health. While their theoretical explanations often differed from modern scientific understanding, many of their practical techniques and treatment approaches have proven remarkably durable and effective. The emphasis on natural ingredients, gentle treatment methods, and individualized approaches created skincare traditions that continued to influence beauty practices well into the modern era. The integration of spiritual, emotional, and physical aspects of healing created holistic treatment models that modern wellness approaches are only beginning to rediscover and validate. The documentation and systematization of skincare knowledge during the medieval period preserved invaluable information about effective natural treatments and techniques. Many modern natural skincare approaches draw directly or indirectly on medieval knowledge, often validating through scientific research what medieval practitioners had discovered through careful observation and experimentation. The social and cultural contexts that supported medieval skincare practices created communities of knowledge and mutual support that enhanced both the effectiveness and enjoyment of beauty care routines. The integration of skincare into daily life, seasonal celebrations, and social rituals created sustainable practices that nourished both body and spirit. As we continue our journey through the intimate chambers and marketplace stalls of medieval beauty culture, we begin to see how these ancient practices created foundations that would influence skincare traditions for centuries to come. The careful attention to individual needs, the sophisticated understanding of natural ingredients, and the holistic approach to health and beauty created a rich legacy that continues to inform how we think about caring for our skin today. The medieval world of skincare reveals itself not as a primitive precursor to modern beauty culture, but as a sophisticated system of knowledge and practice that address the same fundamental human desires for health, beauty, and self-care that motivate us today. Their methods may have differed from ours, but their dedication to understanding and improving the condition of human skin created innovations and insights that remain relevant and valuable. The economic networks that supported medieval skincare created fascinating webs of commerce that stretched across continents and down to the humblest village market. Saffron from Spain, frankincense from Arabia, and pearls from distant seas found their way into the beauty preparations of wealthy European ladies, while local herb gatherers supplied chamomile, comfrey, and calendula to neighborhood practitioners. These trade relationships weren't merely commercial transactions, but cultural exchanges that carried knowledge alongside goods. The spice routes that brought black pepper and cinnamon to European kitchens also carried beauty secrets whispered between merchant wives and court ladies. A Venetian trader might return home not just with exotic oils, but with knowledge of how Persian women used rose water or how Byzantine ladies prepared their famous whitening masks. These informal networks of beauty knowledge created a rich tapestry of techniques that transcended political boundaries and cultural differences. Local markets developed their own hierarchies of quality and expertise. The herb seller, who could identify the finest rose petals, gathered at dawn when their oils were most potent, commanded higher prices and loyal customers. The apothecary, who understood which honey possessed the best healing properties or which beeswax provided the smoothest texture, became sought-after suppliers for discriminating beauty practitioners. The seasonal rhythms of ingredient availability created natural cycles of scarcity and abundance that shaped medieval beauty practices in profound ways. Spring's first violets were treasured for their gentle cleansing properties, commanding premium prices from customers eager to refresh their skincare routines after winter's harsh limitations. Summer's lavender harvest provided the year's supply of this versatile ingredient, requiring careful planning and preservation techniques to ensure availability through the darker months. Autumn brought the gathering of nuts and seeds that would form the basis of winter's nourishing treatments. Walnut oil, sweet almond oil, and various seed extracts were prepared in quantity, stored in carefully sealed containers that would preserve their properties through the cold season. The timing of these harvests was crucial, with experienced gatherers knowing precisely when each plant reached its peak potency for beauty applications. Winter itself became a time of transformation when preserved ingredients were combined into rich, protective preparations that would guard against the season's harsh effects. The long, dark evenings provided perfect opportunities for the slow, careful processes required to create the finest beauty preparations. Gentle heat from hearth fires allowed for the patient simmering of compound preparations, while the cold air helped preserve delicate ingredients that might spoil in warmer weather. The tools and techniques used for creating medieval skincare preparations were as carefully developed as the recipes themselves. Mortar and pestle sets came in various sizes and materials, each chosen for specific purposes. Marble mortars were prized for grinding delicate flower petals without generating heat that might damage their essential properties. Bronze implements were favored for mixing oils and waxes, while wooden tools were used for stirring preparations that might be damaged by metal contact. The grinding techniques themselves were sophisticated arts that required considerable skill and experience. Too much pressure could bruise delicate petals, releasing bitter compounds that would ruin a preparation's fragrance and effectiveness. Too little pressure might fail to release the desired essences, creating weak preparations that provided minimal benefit. Master practitioners developed intuitive understanding of precisely how much force to apply, how long to grind, and when to stop forward that finished preparations achieved the desired smoothness and consistency optimal results, saving and straining techniques onions. Fine silk cloths strained delicate waters and tinctures, removing any particles that might cause straining of thicker preparations, while the finest irritation, coarser linen cloths were used for initial, gentle warming over low fires, allowed ingredients silk reserved for final filtration, produced preparations, and cooling processes used in medieval skincare preparation required careful attention to temperature control and timing of remarkable clarity and refinement. The heating to combine without destroying their beneficial properties, while careful cooling prevented the formation of unwanted crystals, or to judge temperatures by touch and observation, developing separation of oils. The skilled practitioner learned a sensitivity that allowed precise control without modern measuring instruments. Storage and aging of skincare preparations followed elaborate protocols designed to optimize their effectiveness and longevity. Some preparations improved with age, developing richer fragrances and more potent effects through slow chemical processes that occurred over weeks or months. Others required immediate use to capture their peak potency before delicate compounds began to break down. The containers used for aging preparations were chosen with the same care as the ingredients themselves. Dark glass protected light-sensitive compounds from degradation. Ceramic vessels with tight-fitting lids prevented moisture loss and contamination. Wooden boxes lined with aromatic materials not only protected their contents, but gradually infused preparations with subtle fragrances that enhanced their appeal and effectiveness. The labeling and identification systems used by medieval beauty practitioners reveal sophisticated organizational approaches that allowed them to manage dozens or even hundreds of different preparations. Color-coded ribbons tied around containers indicated different categories of treatments. Distinctive shapes and sizes of vessels helped identify specific preparations even in dim light. Traditional symbols carved or painted on containers conveyed information about contents, preparation dates, and intended uses. The apprenticeship systems that transmitted skincare knowledge from master to student created structured learning experiences that built expertise gradually through hands-on practice. Beginning students might spend months learning to properly prepare basic ingredients, grinding herbs to the correct consistency, heating oils to optimal temperatures, and storing finished preparations according to established protocols. Advanced students progressed to learning diagnostic techniques that allowed them to assess skin conditions and recommend appropriate treatments. This training involved not just memorizing recipes, but developing the observational skills needed to recognize different skin types, identify various conditions, and understand how individual factors like age, occupation, and general health affected skincare needs. Master practitioners were expected to innovate and adapt, creating new formulations or modifying existing recipes to address specific challenges or take advantage of newly available ingredients. This creative aspect of the craft prevented stagnation and ensured that skincare knowledge continued to evolve and improve across generations. The testing and evaluation methods used to assess new skincare preparations demonstrate remarkable sophistication in an era without modern analytical tools. Practitioners developed systematic approaches for evaluating ingredient quality, monitoring preparation effectiveness, and identifying potential adverse reactions. Small test batches allowed experimentation without waste, while careful observation of results guided refinements and modifications. The documentation of these testing processes in medieval manuscripts reveals methodical approaches that parallel modern product development techniques. Detailed notes recorded ingredient sources, preparation methods, application techniques, and observed results. Variations were carefully tracked, allowing successful modifications to be identified and replicated, while unsuccessful experiments were abandoned or further refined. The feedback systems that connected practitioners with their clients created continuous improvement processes that enhanced treatment effectiveness over time. Regular consultation sessions allowed practitioners to monitor progress, adjust treatments as needed, and identify new concerns that might require different approaches. This ongoing relationship between practitioner and client ensured that skincare regimens remained relevant and effective as individual needs changed. The medieval understanding of skin sensitivity and allergic reactions, though explained through different theoretical frameworks than we use today, led to sophisticated approaches for identifying and managing adverse reactions. Practitioners learned to recognize the signs of skin irritation and knew which ingredients were most likely to cause problems for sensitive individuals. Patch testing, though not called by that name, was commonly practiced by applying small amounts of new preparations to inconspicuous areas before full application. This precautionary approach prevented serious reactions while allowing practitioners to customize treatments for individual sensitivities. The systematic documentation of these reactions helped build knowledge about which ingredients were safest for various skin types. The development of gentler formulations for sensitive skin types led to sophisticated understanding of how ingredient concentration, preparation methods, and application techniques affected skin tolerance. Dilution protocols allowed beneficial ingredients to be used safely by individuals who might react to stronger concentrations. Alternative ingredients provided similar benefits for those who couldn't tolerate traditional preparations. The medieval approach to treating acne scars and other permanent skin damage reveals remarkable ingenuity in developing treatments that promoted tissue healing and regeneration. Mechanical techniques using various abrasive materials provided controlled exfoliation that gradually improved skin texture and appearance. These early chemical peels used natural acids from fruits and plants to achieve similar effects through chemical rather than mechanical action. The combination of mechanical and chemical treatments created comprehensive approaches that addressed different aspects of scar treatment simultaneously. Initial mechanical treatments removed surface irregularities and dead tissue, while subsequent chemical applications promoted healing and regeneration of healthy skin. Protective treatments applied during healing prevented further damage and optimized conditions for tissue repair. The understanding of how different types of scars responded to various treatments allowed practitioners to customize their approaches based on the specific characteristics of each case. Fresh scars received different treatment than old ones. Deep scars required more intensive interventions than surface marks. The systematic observation of treatment outcomes gradually built knowledge about which approaches worked best for different types of skin damage. The medieval period saw the development of increasingly sophisticated camouflage techniques for covering permanent skin discolorations that couldn't be treated medically. These early cosmetic approaches used carefully prepared pigments and binding agents to create natural-looking coverage that concealed imperfections without appearing artificial or obvious. The color-matching techniques used to create appropriate camouflage preparations demonstrate remarkable understanding of skin tones and how different pigments interacted to create natural-looking results. Master practitioners could blend multiple colors to match individual skin tones precisely, creating customized preparations that provided effective coverage while maintaining natural appearance. The application techniques used for camouflage preparations were as important as the preparations themselves. Proper blending prevented obvious lines or patches that would reveal the artificial coverage. Layering techniques built coverage gradually, allowing for natural-looking results that didn't appear thick or mask-like. Setting methods helped ensure that camouflage preparations remained effective throughout daily activities. The medieval understanding of how pregnancy and childbirth affected skin created specialized approaches for managing these unique challenges. Pregnancy-related skin changes, including darkening, sensitivity, and texture changes, were recognized as temporary conditions that required gentle, supportive treatments rather than aggressive interventions. Postpartum skincare focused on helping skin recover from the physical stresses of pregnancy and childbirth, while accommodating the practical limitations faced by new mothers. Simplified routines that could be maintained despite disrupted sleep and limited time ensured that essential skincare could continue during this challenging period. Gentle, nourishing treatments helped restore skin health while avoiding ingredients that might affect nursing infants. The social support systems that surrounded new mothers often included shared knowledge about effective postpartum skincare treatments. Experienced mothers passed along recipes and techniques that had proven effective during their own recoveries. Community networks ensured that new mothers had access to appropriate ingredients and assistance with preparation when their own energy was limited. The medieval approach to managing occupational skin damage reveals sophisticated understanding of how different types of work affected skin health and appearance. Farmers and outdoor workers developed protective strategies to minimize sun and weather damage. Craft workers learned to guard against chemical irritation and staining from their materials. Even indoor workers face specific challenges from dust, poor lighting, or repetitive motions that required targeted skincare solutions. The protective preparations used by various occupational groups were carefully formulated to address specific hazards while remaining practical for daily use. Waterproof barriers protected against moisture damage. Chemical-resistant preparations guarded against corrosive substances. UV protective formulations shielded against sun damage during outdoor work. The healing treatments developed for occupational skin damage addressed both immediate injuries and long-term effects of exposure to harsh conditions. Quick healing salves treated minor cuts and scrapes common in manual labor. Restorative treatments helped repair cumulative damage from repeated exposure to harsh conditions. Preventive care maintained skin health despite ongoing occupational challenges. The medieval period's contribution to understanding how mental and emotional states affected skin health created holistic treatment approaches that addressed both psychological and physical aspects of skin problems. Stress-related skin conditions were recognized and treated through combination approaches that included both topical treatments and lifestyle modifications designed to reduce underlying stress. The calming and relaxing properties of various aromatherapeutic treatments weren't simply pleasant additions, but were understood as essential components of effective skincare treatment. The scents of lavender, rose, and chamomile weren't just enjoyable, but were believed to have direct therapeutic effects on both skin condition and overall well-being. The meditative aspects of skincare preparation and application created opportunities for stress reduction and emotional healing that enhanced the physical benefits of the treatments themselves. The quiet, focused attention required for proper skincare became a form of mindfulness practice that promoted both physical and mental wellness. The social bonding that occurred during group skincare activities provided emotional support and stress relief that complemented the physical benefits of the treatments. Shared preparation sessions created opportunities for conversation, mutual support, and the sharing of concerns that helped reduce the psychological stress that could negatively affect skin health. The medieval understanding of how different life events and transitions affected skincare needs created adaptive approaches that could accommodate changing circumstances and priorities. Coming-of-age transitions brought new skincare needs that required different approaches and products. Marriage preparations included intensive beauty regimens designed to ensure optimal appearance for wedding celebrations. The recognition that major life changes often brought stress that manifested in skin problems led to supportive treatments that addressed both the physical symptoms and underlying emotional causes. Gentle, nourishing treatments provided comfort during difficult transitions while addressing stress-related skin issues. The social support provided by beauty practitioners offered emotional assistance alongside physical treatments. The adaptive flexibility of medieval skincare systems allowed treatments to be modified based on changing circumstances, available resources, and individual needs. Economic hardship might require substitution of expensive ingredients with more affordable alternatives. Illness might necessitate gentler treatments that accommodated reduced energy or sensitivity. Seasonal variations required adjustments to account for changing environmental conditions and ingredient availability. As our journey through the chambers and workshops of medieval skincare draws toward its close, we find ourselves marveling at the sophistication and humanity of these ancient practices. The careful attention to individual needs, the sophisticated understanding of natural ingredients, and the integration of physical, emotional, and social aspects of beauty care created approaches that remained effective and relevant across centuries of use. The legacy of medieval skincare extends far beyond the specific recipes and techniques they developed. Their holistic understanding of beauty as an expression of overall health and well-being Their recognition of the importance of community support in maintaining self-care practices and their commitment to working with natural processes rather than against them created philosophical foundations that continue to influence how we think about beauty and self-care today. The documentation and preservation of this knowledge in medieval manuscripts, passed down through generations of practitioners and maintained in various cultural traditions, created invaluable resources that continue to inform modern natural skincare approaches. Many contemporary treatments trace their origins directly to medieval innovations, validated by modern research that confirms what centuries of careful observation had already established. The seasonal rhythms, community connections, and mindful approaches that characterized medieval skincare offer lessons that remain relevant for anyone seeking sustainable, effective approaches to beauty and self-care. Their integration of skincare into the broader patterns of daily life created practices that nourished not just the skin, but the whole person, body, and soul alike. The stories preserved in medieval manuscripts reveal fascinating details about how our ancestors understood the deeper connections between internal health and external appearance. They recognized that true beauty couldn't be achieved through surface treatments alone, but required harmony between mind, body, and spirit. This philosophical approach created skincare practices that were as much about spiritual wellness as physical maintenance. Medieval beauty practitioners understood that emotional turmoil manifested itself in the complexion just as surely as poor diet or harsh weather. A woman suffering from grief might find her skin becoming sallow and lifeless, while someone experiencing joy and contentment would naturally radiate a healthy glow. This mind-body connection informed treatment approaches that addressed not just the visible symptoms, but the underlying emotional causes of skin distress. The integration of prayer, meditation, and ritual into daily skincare routines wasn't merely superstition, but reflected a sophisticated understanding of how mental state affected physical health. The quiet, contemplative moments spent preparing herbal infusions or gently massaging healing oils into the skin provided opportunities for stress relief and emotional centering that enhanced the therapeutic benefits of the treatments themselves. And so we come to the end of our gentle wandering through the intimate world of medieval skincare, where rosewater and prayer mingled as naturally as honey and ground almonds. These weren't primitive people stumbling through their days with dirty faces and neglected skin, but thoughtful individuals who understood that caring for one's appearance was both practical necessity and spiritual practice, woven seamlessly into the rhythm of daily life. Their legacy lives on, not just in the recipes preserved in dusty manuscripts, but in the timeless wisdom that true beauty emerges when we tend to both body and soul with equal care. Sleep well, knowing that the desire to nurture and heal our skin connects us across the centuries to countless generations who mix their potions by candlelight and teas to stead in the gentle power of nature's pharmacy.